Hey guys, Azzapp here, and today we're gonna talk about the greatest League of Legends conspiracy of all. Now, you can forget about the reptilians wearing human skin, forget about the DMT aliens that give us technology, that colluded with us in the past, that's how we have phones and all of that. Today, we're talking about loser Q in League of Legends. I found a post on Reddit that actually talks about this. League community is starting into our conspiracy with all the loser Q stuff. So it's pretty funny, and I've been noticing this trend way more these days. It's gotten so bad to the point that people in games are gonna say, I'm just playing out until my loser queue is done. And they're not even tryharding games. They're just there to lose because they think they're predestined to lose, predetermined. Like, people just don't want to play these games. They think it's loser queue, and there's multiple reasons why this is a thing now, and we're gonna talk about it and why it's such a bad thing and like how people got even to this point. First and minor reason why it is happening is basically how online terms work. There is no Oxford dictionary telling us what loser queue means. The definition is online and it's ever changing. It really depends how people use it in which context. So the interesting thing about loser queue is a lot of people mention it as this some sort of grand conspiracy where Riot Games pushes you to lose more games on purpose by hand-picking noobs and perfectly evaluating people on the algorithm how likely they're gonna win next game depending on which role and all of that. So they manipulate all of these things to make you lose games back to back. Now some people just mean loser queue getting a bad spree, which is people have used it like just commonly as a bad spree. Winner's queue, loser queue, if you're having a good spree or a bad spree. And that's pretty normal, but it's conflating with the other term and it's messing people up. A lot of streamers talking about loser queue, some of them actually even believe in it. It really made a lot of this community believe that it's a thing. Second thing is people do not like a lack of control. People want to be able to control things, and League of Legends is a 5v5 game with very, very big consequences to your action. So it's not like in Counter-Strike where if your teammate dies, you just have to fight 4v5. In League of Legends, when your teammate dies, you have to fight 4v5, plus you're gonna lose objectives, and you're gonna be down in gold, which is also gonna accelerate enemies and make them stronger. So even if you are a really, really good player, you still won't be able to battle it out because they're much more fed than you. So it's a lot more difficult to clutch League games alone. That leaves a lot of people able to reconcile the events and unable to understand that some games are out of their control no matter what, despite them playing well. Like, a lot of people just don't understand that you can play well and still lose a game because there's champion impact, there's comp synergies, how your comp works against theirs, like player dynamics, how which players play in which role. Like, there's so many things, so many aspects here that a bad player can win and a good player can lose. So it's just only natural. Another thing is your game impact. You are only 1/10 of the lobby at the end of the day. So if you're close to your elo, not playing like 3 leagues above or below, you won't have pretty high impact. You're playing for the marginal games. The trick is that 40% games are lost, 40% games are won. You are fighting for the middling 20%, and you're skewing them to which direction they go. But the trick is you actually don't know which ones are winning and losing, which is why you have to kind of think that every game is winnable and try hard and not presume that you know the outcome. And another 2 big reasons, which I think are the biggest drivers of this, is that humans are evolutionarily wired to find patterns. We have evolved for about hundreds of thousands of years just to be really good at pattern recognition. It is why like we have astrology in the first place. People are just really good at that because patterns were crucial to our existence. We needed to look at the stars, figure out the patterns in which they move, the sun, the moon. All of these patterns are very, very good because we can learn a lot from them, when to migrate, when to plant, when to harvest. That's also one funny thing, that the astrology and astronomy were one and the same thing back in the day, prior to like 1610, until Galileo looked at the telescope. Anyway, humans are just very, very good at seeking patterns, which is why you have all the superstition. My team won when I was wearing these socks, so next time when my team plays, I'm gonna wear these socks. And you're just gonna notice events that kind of... Sometimes events are going to accidentally fall together and you're going to think that there is something behind it because your brain just doesn't interpret that as a random chance because, well, if some events happen that are very, very bad for you, evolutionarily speaking, like throughout like the lifetime of an early caveman, if some events happen back to back, like the guy goes out on the right, he gets eaten by a lion, the other guy goes out to the right, gets eaten by a lion, I'm going left, you know? Like, there's no real logic there. You just notice the pattern, you avoid the pattern because pattern recognition is good. Now, the issue is in modern day, a lot of people use pattern recognition to explain the things that are beyond their control. So they start believing that they can impact these events because then it's a lot more interesting, because then you're actually not just a bystander. It's very difficult to relinquish control. So that is precisely why we have people like the people I talk to on the daily on my streams. Like a guy came to me and said, I always lose with Evelyn, but I always lose against Evelyn. This is evidence of the loser queue clearly existing. You know, it's just another one of those patterns that's being noticed. Another interesting thing about this is how humans' brain don't even comprehend the randomness. There was a very funny situation with the Apple Shuffle, when you were shuffling songs, which was entirely random. So you would just shuffle songs no matter what. And people complained that it was not random enough, funnily enough, because it would play oftentimes same songs. Because guess what? When you do something random and you have 300 songs, some of them you won't hear ever, some of them you're going to hear 4 or 5 times. That's just how stats work. And people complain that's not random. So they actually changed how the algorithm works. And now most algorithms work like the Spotify one, where they actually are kind of random. They're going to put in songs, but it works with like clusters and based on what you listen and how fast do you skip a song, how many times do you re-listen to it, so it just comes back in. But yeah, it's just one of those things that people, if you lose 5 times, you can think, oh, there's no way this is random. I can't lose 5 times in a row, you know? That's just the human condition. And another big thing is people just don't understand the variance of events. What is the likelihood of certain events? If you're about 50% win rate, which means you're in ELO where you belong, the chances of losing are 50% and winning 50%. Okay, what are the chances to lose 5 games in a row? Surely, I will not lose 5 games in a row. How can I lose 5 in a row? Like, it has to be loser queue. Okay, let's figure out what is 5 games in a row chance. If you're about 50% win rate player, that is 2 to the power of 5. What does that mean? That is 32. Okay, so 1 in 32. So if there's 32 players playing the game, one of them is just going to lose 5 in a row, randomly. That's it. Not to mention, this doesn't factor in your mental state, the way you're tilted because you didn't take a break and you just had to play until you get a win. So you're going to try a first-time Rek'Sai in your random top lane game in Silver 4, right? Like, that doesn't impact even your that doesn't factor in your mental ability there, like how tilted you are. So obviously, sports, any sort of sport, really, any sort of competition for humans tend to go in like a little bit of a mood swing, but not too much out of the ordinary, what you would expect statistically speaking. And the biggest thing for the grand finale, why there is no such thing as loser queue, is that people inherently don't understand matchmaking. They're telling me I will always get 4 wins, that I'll get like 4 losses and all that, and they eventually end up at around 50% win rate. That is what matchmaking is supposed to do. That means it's doing its job. If you're going towards 50% win rate, that means the matchmaking is working because it's placing you in a lobbies where your skill level is about approximately even to your teammates and the enemies, which means across large span of time, you will eventually even out a 50% win rate, which is exactly what the matchmaking is supposed to do. So you are where you belong. If you don't want to be in loser queue, it means you got to get better. Anyway, I just thought I'd talk about this grand conspiracy, which so many more people are now believing in, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. If you ever see someone talking about this, it's just absolute cope. It just makes no sense. Why would Riot waste that amount of time and resources on thing that will be achieved by matchmaking anyway, and is just the most basic bare-bones ELO algorithm in play? A lot of people just looking for easy cop-outs, don't want to face the consequences to their actions, don't want to get better, don't want to admit that they could have won that game if they played a bit better. But yeah, absolutely ridiculous. Hope you guys enjoyed this video on the loser queue, and I'll see you in the Summoner Rift for the winners queue. Bye.